What's going on YouTube? Ledger here once again. This time at you again with some more Honkai Star Rail. And there's a lot of excitement going around. There's a lot of excitement going on right now for Acheron. Now listen here, Hoyoverse, listen. I'm not about to talk about leaks in this video. So don't, please just leave me alone, please, all right? But I'm gonna talk about the different options that we do have. Because based on the recent hype that's been going around, I know with Sparkle coming around the corner and a lot of people who were decided on getting Sparkle are now seeing Acheron, and they all of a sudden their plans are changing and they don't know what they want to do. And so let's try and talk about it, because we got a few options our way, as always, honestly, in this game. And let's try and break it down and see which one should you pick. As I said, I'm going to be pretty vague when it comes to Acheron and Adventurine, because the fact of the matter is, you know, there's a lot of leaks going around, but I'm not really going to talk about them right now. I'm not going to talk about the leaks in detail or anything like that. You know, I don't want to get in trouble right now. So we're going to keep it classy here, all right? But you'll be surprised how much you can really tell about these characters just by knowing what their class is and just by looking at the clues that we already have in the game of what they're going to be able to do. And with that, we'll be able to make educated decisions based on that information. So let's first talk about Sparkle, because Sparkle we have a lot of information on. So I can talk about, and I've talked about Sparkle in depth quite a few times. So where you guys can look at my other videos where I talk about Sparkle is really going to be the better Bronya. And if you want to know my thoughts on that, go ahead and take a look at the video there. But Sparkle, what do we know about Sparkle? We know that she is a harmony unit, of course, and a limited harmony unit at that. She is a character that I personally have been waiting for a very long time. Like some people might not realize it, but she is going to be performing on a similar level as Ron May. Now, this sounds crazy to a lot of people because how cracked Ron May is, but this really hammers home because all the capabilities she's able to do. She opens up a lot of team comps. Similar to how Ron May does. I mean, these teams, same with Ron May, they existed before Sparkle's there, but she makes them much more usable, much more powerful because of all the skill points she's giving you, the team buff she's giving, and the singular buffs to the hyper carry that she's giving. So for those who are looking for that, who might have, let's say you skipped Ron May or you still don't have Bronya, if you are missing either one of those, I really think that Sparkle is really going to be a top pick for you. It's going to be real hard to tell somebody to skip Sparkle if you are missing one of those two characters, Ron May or Bronya. If you have both of them, then yeah, you know, maybe you can try and edge by, because even though, like how I said in the previous video, there's situations where Sparkle's going to be better than Bronya, but Bronya has still been great. She's still been great, and you can get by based on what you have now. But if you're missing one of those two, if you're missing Ron May, if you're missing Bronya, then yeah, this is going to be very, very valuable for your account to pick that up. Granted, normally, if you have both Bronya and Ron May, Sparkle's still a big pickup, still a huge pick for you. So if you really want Sparkle, and you're like, oh, I already have those, so maybe I shouldn't get it. So this is a very close competition right here between these three characters. And if you're undecided, then you got to start being cutthroat unless you're planning on spending. So that's really my cutthroat strategy right there. Depending on who you have on your account, what harmony units do you have, what DPSs are you using, because there's a bunch of DPSs that work greatly with her. So also depending on your DPSs. Now, granted, the last video that I talked about Sparkle, I did mention a lot of DPSs that really want to team up with Sparkle. But the biggest winners that I mentioned are going to be Dan Heng, Sela, and Xing Shui, right? Those three are going to be the biggest winners, right? Not the only winners, but the biggest winners. And if one of those three is your main DPS or is one of the people that you want to use the most, then Sparkle is somebody that you really want to get. So that's my thoughts on that. I won't talk too much about Sparkle because I've talked about her in depth. But let's get on over to Adventurine. Adventurine isn't going to take a lot of explanation to go over, because Adventurine is very simple. because it's the same as when Fu Xuan was coming. It's the same as when Huo was coming. It's the same when Luocha was coming. If you do not have 2 solo sustains on your account, you want to get Adventurine. You do. Because the fact of the matter is, you might be getting by with Japard or Bailu and such, you know, maybe even Natasha. Maybe you're getting by. But when you're trying to get up to floor 12, when you're trying to beat Golden Gears or Swarm Disaster, when you're trying to do these things, you're going to be struggling. You're going to be struggling trying to deal with Bailu and Japard. Now, not saying that it's impossible, but when you have the chance to be able to use a solo sustain comfortably, it helps your account a lot. So when characters like Acheron come up, you can give them a proper team comp. Let's say you see this team that I have right here, the Black Swan and Kafka team, right? If I'm using Bailu and Japard, if I'm using 2 sustains to try and hold it up, I can't buff Kafka or Black Swan anymore because I need to do another sustain. Opening up that 3rd slot for you to be able to put a support in there is huge. It's a huge thing. And Adventurine is going to be able to do that for you. So if you don't have that 2nd soul sustain, Adventurine is your #1 priority. Now, I get it. The most skip type of unit that we do get, that I have noticed, that most people have noticed, is the fact that people skip sustains. They skip them a lot. Luocha got skipped like crazy. You know, I can't remember if Fu Xuan got skipped a lot, but I know Huo got skipped like crazy. I actually advised people to skip Huo because of the stuff that was coming. And, well, for those of you who listened and ended up getting Jing Liu, I hope you're happy about that. But a lot of people want to skip these sustains, but you need at least 2 of them. You need to pick one of them up. And Adventurine is not going to be a slouch based on just a simple fact that he is a 5-star limited preservation unit. So yeah, but of course not going to talk about his kit in detail, but based on what we know already, he is going to be a must pull if you don't have, must pull, I use that term lightly, but he's going to be one of those if you don't have a 2nd sustain. And now the cream of the crop, what a lot of people have been coming for.
Acheron.
She has been lighting the internet ablaze. For those of you who like to avoid leaks and spoilers, I feel bad for you because we've been getting pummeled. We've been getting pummeled with that. You know, I was trying to kind of stay away from it, to be honest. I kind of wanted to go the official route this time around. And, you know, and I'm still not going to talk about it, but the fact of the matter is, man, oh man, like, it's been in your face. And a lot of people are starting to change their minds, change their plans around because they see Acheron is coming so close here. When is it where you think you should prioritize Acheron? Well, first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. This is a game, a video game, of course, right? Stating the obvious. And the fact of the matter is, you play games to have fun. So if you're like, hey, I need that 2nd solo sustain, this is a must. Adventurine is going to be a must pull for me. Or, hey, I really need that other harmony unit. This is a must pull for me. But if you're sitting there like, yeah, but if I don't get Acheron, I'm going to enjoy the game a whole lot less, then go ahead and get Acheron. Go ahead and do it. Just understand what the smart decision is, and then make a decision after that. But when is Acheron a smart decision? Well, Acheron is most likely going to be a DPS. Why do I say that? How can I say that without looking at leaks? Well, it's actually kind of obvious if you really take a look. If you take a look at Acheron's drip marketing, you'll notice a couple aesthetics where she has these red flowers going on. And somehow, coincidentally, when Penacony comes, we seem to have a set that has these same aesthetics. This set is clearly made for damage dealers that like debuffs, okay? It's simple as that. If somebody wants debuffs on the enemy and they want to deal damage, and there you go. Now, somebody like Dr. Ratio benefits a lot from this set. This is his best set. But let's say someone like Well, who can deal damage and wants enemies to be debuffed, he's going to benefit a lot from this. this set is clearly meant to deal damage. And it's clear to me that Acheron wants this set. Therefore, it is very, very apparent that Acheron just might be a damage dealer. Well, what if that's not convincing enough? Well, guys, this is Raiden we're talking about, okay? This is Raiden. We're talking about Honkai Impact 3rd Raiden Mei. We're talking Genshin Impact Raiden Shogun. These characters, when they came and they hit hard. Granted, I didn't play Honkai Impact 3rd, but I know what Raiden Mei can do. They came and they hit hard. So we're a damage dealer is coming to us, guys. Like, come on. She's going to be a DPS. And as somebody who is going to be DPS, they follow the DPS rules. And the DPS rule basically is, you know, DPSs in terms of priority tend to come a little bit lower on the totem pole. Because even though the DPS is real new and hits real hard and stuff like that, if you don't have a proper team around them, their value goes down. So you want to make sure you have that foundation first. So you want to make sure you have good harmony or nihility units to support. You want to make sure you have your good sustain. And then you want to make sure you have that DPS, right? And we have an option of a lot of DPSs. So no matter how strong she is, if she comes in hitting hard, puts Jing Liu to shame, at the end of the day, her priority can only be so much when you have so many options. Because yeah, she can beat the content easier, but if Dr. Ratio can beat all the content, if Jing Liu can beat all the content, if Argenti can beat the content, then you're not losing too much if you don't always get the bright new DPS option. And also too, based on this set right here, right? This set is a set where it wants debuffs on the enemy, okay? And now to get debuffs on the enemy, someone like Silverwolf is really good for that when it comes to Dr. Ratio. But she's good for that because Dr. Ratio is a single target damage dealer and Silverwolf is single target. But we don't have a lot of AoE debuffers. We got Pella and we kind of got Well, right? And this means that, well, chances are Acheron's best friend isn't here yet. So that's another thing right there. We're not going to be getting Acheron's full power right off the bat. So that is another thing. Now it sounds like I'm trying to like advise people to not go for Acheron. That's not really the case. It's just more so there's a lot of hype surrounding Acheron, right? So I'm gonna have to start talking people down so they don't jump off a bridge here and throw away all their plans, okay? But the fact of the matter is, I have faith that she's going to be great. She's going to be spectacular. She's going to be one of the greatest things we've ever seen. So we want to make sure that we know what the right decision is, a smart decision is for our account, and whether we want to go with that decision or not. So Acheron looks great. She's awesome, but she is a DPS, and unless you are heavily lacking in the DPS department, she does not take top priority of the units that she's sandwiched in between. But of course, it always comes down to preference, because having a good DPS that you like to play is one of the main things that make the game fun. So I can see it going either way. I can see it going either way with people. But just know no matter what you do, it's not a bad decision. If you go for Sparkle, Acheron, or Adventurine, it's not a bad decision no matter which way you go, all right? So whatever decision you make, take it with pride. I'm telling you right now. But yeah, let me know what you guys plan on doing, because this is a tough decision. Where's your mind at right now? I know where it is. I have an idea where it might be, but let me know in the comments down below what you plan on doing. Did this help you at all? Does this help put anything in perspective for you? Like the video if you like the content that I do give you, and subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. With that under here, legend out.